Hi there, I'm Sam Mahoney from OL Moed, and it is my honor and privilege to be with you today. I'm working on a short series about the scroll or the book that was written for you before you were even fully formed in your mother's womb. If you're interested in viewing the other segments in this series, please go back and watch You Are Unique, just like everybody else. Also watch What Am I Here For? And the one that I did last week is titled The Being That Reads Your Scroll. Last week, I started to answer the question to find out how do I know what's written in my scroll? And I made two suggestions. One of them could be, if you are a seer, simply ask God, would you show me what you wrote in that scroll? And then engage the Spirit by faith and see what He allows you to see. I also put a warning out last time that I said, don't be disappointed if He doesn't show you your whole scroll in its totality. The reason He won't show you your whole scroll, so you know from beginning to end, is because if you knew the works that He created for you to do, because everything that He does is for good and not for evil, it produces life and abundance, you would be so overwhelmed with what He's called you to do that you would go, this is too big for me, I can't do it, I'm out. So I'll ask Him to show you the segments, the next chapter, where you are right now, so that your steps can be directed in alignment with that scroll. I also spoke about how, although I don't see as clearly and as detailed as my husband does, he is an amazing seer in the spirit realm. And so I asked him to go and tell me what was written in my book. And the short version of that is that he found that there is a being that reads our scrolls over us every single day. So by faith, I engage with that being and I engage with my scroll and I give God my yes. Today I want to share another method that I've used to engage with my scroll and its contents. But before I share that with you, it does come with a warning. If you decided to follow this example that I'm going to do with you, we're going to do a practical at the end, then there is potential for everything to be rearranged in your life according to the will of God. You know, I've had one lady one time when I did this with her and she contacted me. She said, my life has gone upside down. I've lost the house that I was living in and I'm forced to go back and live somewhere else. The job, I wasn't really happy in the job, but I've lost that as well. And I said to her, you ask God to realign you with what's in your scroll. Has God been talking to you about moving? And she said, yes, a few years ago. And I said, you gave Him permission. You're the one that gave Him permission because you want to fulfill His will. So again, if you decide to go along with this process at the end, things could change for you. I had also spoken in previous segments about how even the fact that you have a scroll with such amazing things doesn't mean that you're going to accomplish it. You first have to give God your agreement. You have to turn your will to say, Father, I agree with whatever it is that you wrote down for me to do. If I'm out of alignment, I give you permission to bring me back into alignment with my scroll. Now, obviously, praying such a thing is going to change the direction of your life, possibly drastically. So you have to mean what you say and say what you mean, because He'll take you at your word on that. So let's answer a different question today. How do I engage with the destiny that was preordained for me, and how do I get it operating in my life? So the short answer to that question is, eat your scroll. By faith, of course. Where am I getting this from? There is precedent in the Word to eating your scroll. I want to read 3 verses to you, and you go ahead and you examine them and consider them. The first one comes from Ezekiel 3 verse 3. There are 3 different men in the Word that have done this exact process. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the template of what they did to apply it in our lives today. So Ezekiel 3:3 says, then He said to me, Son of man, eat this scroll that I'm giving you and fill your stomach with it. So I ate it, and it tasted sweet as honey in my mouth. Verse 4 says, He then said to me, Son of man, go now to the people of Israel and speak my words to them. So this is Ezekiel eating that scroll. He could only accomplish that assignment that God had set aside for him once he had eaten the words. I want you to notice that it said it tasted sweet as honey to his mouth. Whenever we're talking about doing the will of God in our lives, it sounds sweet, right? It sounds like such a good thing to do. Yes, Lord, I give you my yes. We don't count the cost, and we don't know what the cost is, but that is a sweet taste to our mouth. Of course, we all want to fulfill the word of God for our lives, the will of God for our lives. Let me read you another one. It comes from Jeremiah, different prophet, 15 verse 16. It says, your words were found, and I ate them. Okay? Your words became a joy and to me and a delight of my heart. So he's also eaten those words. Revelation 10 verse 9 says, and I went to the angel, telling him to give me the little scroll. And he said to me, take it and eat it. It will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth it will be as sweet as honey. Did you notice that as well? I'll talk about it in 2 seconds. Verse 10 says, I took the little scroll from the angel's hand and I ate it, and in my mouth it was sweet as honey, and when I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. And they said to me, you must prophesy again concerning many peoples, nations, languages, and kings. Again, this could only be accomplished, this part of the assignment from the scroll could only be accomplished once it had been eaten. Sweet to the taste, when God says, go ahead and do this. Yes, it sounds like a great thing, we want to do it, but bitter to the stomach because there's a price that is going to be paid. Can you imagine if God said to you, I want you to go to the prime minister of your country or the president or whatever you have in your country, excuse me, and I want you to tell him this and this. It's going to be like, yeah, okay. And then you got to go and do it, right? And then you get the reproach of men, and then you get people calling you weirdo, and then there's the stigma, and you know how it goes. So there's that bitterness that goes with being obedient, but there's also a sweetness to it. So why are we going to eat our scroll? Well, you've all heard the statement, right? You are what you eat. So when you eat that scroll by faith, your assignments, your destiny, your purpose becomes one with you. It's woven into your fabric of your spirit, your soul, your body. Everything's going to have to get involved in order to fulfill what that scroll says. And then God gives you the desire of your heart according to what you've just eaten, because it's now part of you. I gave you a heads up that there was a warning coming. There is a price that has to be paid when you follow this protocol of eating from the word. If you are living in any way that is contrary to what's in your book, God's going to put his finger on it. And you may not be allowed to get away with what you've got away with for much longer. Another thing is that if you're off track and you allow the scroll to become one with you, he's going to bring your feet back to the path that you're supposed to be on. You also may notice that you have a change in your friends base. Maybe those that you've been hanging around with, God is saying, no, bad company corrupts good morals, and so there may be a friend there may be a change in your friend base. And this is what happened to Jeremiah when he ate that scroll, that scripture that I just read to you. It says he could no longer sit in the seat of merrymakers and fools. So you might also find that things that you were passionate about before, where your focus was there all the time, maybe it's going to become like mundane to you, and you're going to go, this no longer blows my hair back. Why have I lost my passion for this? It might be that God is going to give you new desires in line with the scroll that he wrote for you. An example of my own family life and how things changed direction for my family was I have 2 boys at the time of this recording. They are 27 and 25 years old. I remember both of them since they were young. When I would say, what is it that you want to do when you leave school? Both of them said, we want to go to the army. Now, I don't have a problem with the army, but my heart, I'm sure those of you who are parents will understand the turmoil going on in my heart. And I called both of my boys to me. My oldest was about 16 at the time. The youngest was 14. And I said to them, I understand your desire to go into the army. Would you be willing to submit to God's will if he said that is not my desire? If it turns out that it is, I am going to be your biggest supporter. This army is not going to have as much prayer as this mother is about to put into this. But would you be open to anything else if this is not God's will? And both of my boys said, yes, if this is not God's will, we will be open to whatever he wants us to do. And so I simply said, okay. I did this exercise separately with both of my boys. And so what we did is we said, Father, would you give us the scroll that you wrote for our lives? And I said to both of them, I want you to tell me when you think that you have it. It might feel like something heavy in your hands. You might feel a warmth or a tingling in your hands, or you might see it. Tell me when you think you've got it. So both of my boys sat there going, God, would you give me my scroll? My oldest one said, I think I've got it. I said, how do you know? And he said, well, I see it. He said, it has red writing and it has gold writing on red pages, but I can't read the writing. I was like, okay, that's awesome. My youngest one said, I think I've got it. I said, how do you know? He said, I just feel a warmth and a heaviness in my hands. So 2 different processes here. I said, right, by faith, I want you to eat it. So they took that scroll, and by faith, that's what they did. They took it into themselves. They chewed it. They said, okay, I'm done. That was as simple as it was. They then said to me, how are we going to know what's in our scroll? I said, you're going to wait. It's not yet time for the revealing of that scroll, but God has taken you at your word. It's become one with you. He will give you desires in your heart. And if it's the army, babe, I'm good. We're good. We're going to do it. So the time came when my oldest, 2 years after eating that scroll, left school, and he said, Mom, I remember we ate our scroll. What do we do now? Because I still have a desire to go into the army. And I said, okay, that's good. Then we're going to do the army. I said, but could you just take 1 year off to go and get a job, because you're going to need a car to get yourself around, and get a little bit of savings in your bank account, and then we'll get you into the army. So he took my advice and off he went to work for a year, got himself a car, built up his bank account nicely, started to go for training. He went for interviews with the army. He decided what it was that he was going to do, and it all looked like it was a go for the army. 1 week before intake, they were supposed to go to this dinner, a welcome dinner where they were welcomed into the army. This was in the New Zealand army. And 1 week before, an opportunity opened up for him to go to the United States to go and study cybersecurity. There was a girl there that both my husband and I had seen, and the Lord said, this is your son's wife. We didn't tell him that at that time, but I said to him, you have 2 opportunities here. You have your desire for the army, but look what is opened up for you. The choice is yours. What are you going to do? And he said, Mom, he said, my heart is for the army, but this just seems like it was sent from heaven. He said, an opportunity like this does not ever come around, not even once in a lifetime. He said, I think that God is showing me something else. And so he did. He put that vision and that desire for the army that he's had since a little boy, and he said, God, not my will, but yours be done. I ate my scroll. You've opened this door. I'm going to pay a price. You're going to bless me if I go to the army, but I'm going to pay a price if I lose out on this. I give you my yes. And every single door that he had to open as he came to it opened, and the favor of God sat on his life. I asked him today, he's now 27, do you feel like you missed out? Do you feel like that was the right choice for you? And he said 100% yes. It was hard because obviously he lives in America without his family. He's married today, and everything that he's supposed to be, he has the most amazing job. The favor has just sat on his life. He has his green card, but he had to give his yes. So if you are willing to take that step of faith with me, I want you to do the same process with me today. Remember, there might be a price to pay. It might be sweet to the taste right now doing it, but there may be bitterness coming to the stomach, but you will fulfill the will of God for your life, and He will bring every opportunity that you're supposed to receive. He's going to bring it to you. He's going to open doors where it didn't look like there was a door in the first place. You have to have those eyes to see what it is that He's doing. If you're willing to do that, do the same process with me today. Open your hands. Say to the Father, I ask you to give me my scroll that you wrote for me before I was even formed in my mother's womb. And I just want you to take a few minutes just to look, to listen, to feel. Don't rush in this process. When you think you've got it, I just want you to honor your scroll. Father, I honor the book that you wrote for me with your desires for my life. Today, I choose with my own will to give you my yes. Thank you that what you have written on this scroll is good. Everything that's going on in my life, I ask you to turn it for good, for the glory of God. I don't want to do my own thing. I want to be in agreement with the scroll. I give you permission that if there is any way that I am walking that is not according to the scroll, that you bring me into alignment with what you wrote, with your own heart's desires for me. By faith, I eat this scroll. And just take a few seconds just to put it in your mouth, chew it and swallow it. Just notice how your body feels. Notice what's going on the inside of you. We're going to say, Father, that we trust you to work it out for us, to open doors that no man can close and close doors that no man can open in accordance with the scroll. Move circumstances so that I am exactly on the path that I'm supposed to be, especially in this next season in which I find myself. I close the door to everything that is old. I'm not going back to the old. I'm going forward in Christ. And then you're going to just watch and you're going to wait and you're going to see what comes your way. But I bless you today, and I bless your scrolls. And I bless what God has called you to do, because you are unique. Today I want to thank you for tuning into this Eternal Echo segment on our YouTube channel. Again, I'm Samantha Mahoney. And if you've enjoyed what you've watched, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, stay inspired and keep your light shining. Shalom.